was a funeral service, maybe something kind of like this, and the Wales family was sitting in one of those back pews, Dad and my sisters and brother and family. Kind of a time of quiet reflection and sharing the grief of the family. Well, somebody came in late and slammed the door. Boom! And my dad just under his breath says, "Oh, that was enough to raise the dead." But he said it without thinking. But it suddenly occurred to the family how inappropriate it was to think that. But at the same time, how funny that was. So you know when you're trying not to laugh, how much harder you laugh. So the whole family's stifling snickers and giggles and trying to be serious. But we're here today to celebrate what a great man my dad was, and how loving, and part of that was a sense of humor. So I hope to share some of the lighter moments, some of the happy moments, and also just his great achievements of his life. But I hope that I think about him, and I do a lot of laughing. We talked about his love of music. Now, I remember him singing around the house, and sometimes when he got done milking, he'd be in the milk house cleaning out the milkers, everything, spraying everything down, and he would just be singing away. Maybe one of the hymns, the song I remember the most goes like, "Two rabbits got on a jet plane and took off. One was named Hitler, the other Rudolph." And I can remember being a kid thinking, I'm going to listen so I learn how that song goes. But the thing of it was different every time. And you would just listen and think, what in the world? Like, I don't know if there ever was a song, but it would morph into a medley of George Wales' greatest hits. It would go from Two Rabbits to Always Marry an Ugly Girl.
Not really do.
What is it?
An ugly girl will not really do.
Yeah. Chewing, chawing gum. Now that's a real song. Chewing, chawing gum. Chewing, chawing gum. I took my girl to church one day, and what do you think she done? She stood right up in the preacher's face and started chewing gum. But he did enjoy himself, and he also had a sense of humor that was, if I have a demented sense of humor, it's the apple didn't fall very far from the tree. Because I remember coming home from a vacation, and we had this broke down old pony, Coco. So I look out, Dad, where's Coco? Died. Well, when you're a little kid, you think there should be a funeral service for a goldfish. I mean, Dad, what did you do with the body? I sold it to McDonald's. And he had a kind of sense of humor that he liked to tease. And there's a picture that will, eventually it will show up there. There was one Christmas, he took a box and filled it with rocks. And I had asked for a Christmas present. They said, what do you want for Christmas? I would like a subscription to Sports Illustrated. So my dad, the magazines would come in the mail and he would hide them. And then he put them in this box, but he filled it with rocks. So every day for 2 weeks before Christmas, he would tease me. Hey, Andy, what do you think this is? It was a box of rocks. All you're getting for Christmas is a box of rocks. Here, shake it. What does it sound like, Andy? I don't know if he really thought I was worried, but he got a lot of mileage out of that and enjoyment. He liked to tease. And eventually it will come up there, him handed me that present. And But that was his way in lighthearted moments. I like to hear him sing because, you know, he could also be very intense at times. Maybe things weren't working real good. He could be gruff sometimes. So if he came in the house singing, then I knew I could push my luck a little bit, you know. Maybe Tommy and I would be shooting cat guns in the house. Pow, pow, pow. But, you know, so I have good memories of that. He liked things that were, his sense of humor had a lot to do with a play on words. And even right up the week before he died, he thought this was very clever. So I'd say, Dad, tell Dan the one about the duck. And he would say, the duck went through defense, defeat before detail. He liked that kind of thing. And I remember one Father's Day, somebody bought a card for Dad that had a picture of a farmer standing in his field. And on the inside it said, Happy Father's Day to a man who is outstanding in his field. That's the kind of thing that he likes, jokes like that.
Where's your back?
Yeah, there it is. Look at the look on his face. But there he is with his instant Maxwell house coat. So we're here to celebrate the life of a man who was outstanding in his field. When you think about the life of a person who almost lived to the age of 90, he experienced a lot of history. And he did not talk too much up to us about the stories from the old days. But there were some stories he would tell again and again, like, did I ever tell you how I passed the swim test to get into the Marines? Only about 1,000 times. So he said, well, this is what I did. I didn't know how to swim, so I jumped in the water, sunk to the bottom, crawled on the floor to the other side, and went back up. So, I'm a little kid, you're gullible, I tried it. The next time I went to a swimming pool, I'm going to cross the pool that way. And the thing of it is, you can't do it. So I went back to Dad and said, Dad, there's no way. You can't pass the swim. He says, I think I know I was there. Now this brings up another thing about George Wales. We all know him. Nobody ever won an argument with George Wales. But we kind of have a joke about that in our family. Now I'm not saying you weren't right, but you didn't win the argument. So, you know, they say children learn what they live. So we started to notice as a family that we all had that trait as well. So I think it was Georgia who noticed that at one point, two of us would be arguing. When you get to the point where you got nothing more to say, we'd say, well. Now you see what I did there, I still got the last word. I didn't really have anything to say, but I still got the last word. So we started to catch each other on that. So somebody said, well, we'd say deep subject. Or deep subject for such a shallow mind. To give you an idea of the kind of things that we would argue about. One day, Dad came home from church here, and he told us they had heard a sermon on the time when Jesus healed a blind man by spitting in his eye. And I said, Dad, no, he spit in the dirt, he wiped the mud in the guy's eye. He said, no, Jesus spit in somebody's eye to heal him. I said, no, I don't think that's right. And he said, call Doug Hodge. I said, Dad, I'm not going to call Doug Hodge and ask him, did Jesus spit in someone's eye? I know he did. But now here's my dad's got macular degeneration. You can see a little bit like this flipping through the Bible. The thing of it was, he was right. So what else could I say? I said, well. So